Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Bagak Ahmed and welcome to today's video. Today I have a very simple question and I want to know what were the companions of the Prophet, the family of the Prophet himself following during the time of his lifetime, right? Was it Sunni Islam or was it Shia Islam? Now, which one came first? Which one has references in the Quran? Which one is the one that you would initiate or call the companions or the family or the Prophet himself? Now, this is a debate that has been a feud between the Sunni and the Shia populations for over 1500 years. One of the biggest claims that the Sunni population makes is that the Shia came after the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. But when we take a look at history, so did the Sunni sect. The Sunni sect was not around during the Prophet Muhammad's time, and the word Sunnah is not even found in the Quran. Now, we're going to go ahead and take a look at these things, like I was stating, and we're going to go ahead and examine definitions, the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and stick to the facts. I do not have time for an ego war. I do not have time to go ahead and defend my sect by lying because I don't want to look bad or I don't want my 1500 years of organized sectarian religion to fall under, because over 1500 years in Shia and Sunni Islam, they have become very controlled and constructed from the inside out. Innovations have been brought in to both sects, and many of the hadith that the Sunni and the Shia take today directly counteract and conflict with the Holy Quran, but they take them anyways. Okay, so I need to figure out, did the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, his companions and his family members follow Islam the way the Sunni and the Shia do today? If they do not, what is the term or the closest way to follow Islam today? Correct? So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know this right now before I jump right into this. I am going to speak not about the sect of Sunni Islam and not about the sect of Shia Islam when going into the fundamental definitions of these root words and going into the Holy Quran, okay? I need to understand what these words even mean to begin with. What is Sunni? What is Sunnah? What is the word Shia? Where did they originate from? Where did they come from? And why are we called this today? And are the people of the past called that? Are the people before the Prophet Muhammad called the Shia or the Sunni? Let's go ahead and dive into our first question. So I went ahead and asked, is the word Shia mentioned in the Quran? The word Shia is mentioned in the Quran. It is from the Arabic word at-tashahu, which means to follow. The term has been used for the followers of the prophets of Allah in the Holy Quran. So the claim that the Sunni Muslims make that there was no Shia, or this term Shia was something that was put together after the Prophet's death, this is something that is just blatantly not true. The word Shia is mentioned in the Quran and it is used to describe the prophets of Allah and their followers. Okay, so this is a title. The word Shia is a title that means to follow. Okay, this is the root word. This is the definition. The word Shia is found in the Holy Quran. Okay, so then we ask the question, right? Is the word Sunni Islam or Sunnah in the Quran? And it tells us, no, the word Sunnah is its direct equivalent does not appear in the Quran, although the term Sunnah, meaning tradition or way of life, is used, and the concept following the Prophet's example is in central faith. And if we read underneath this, it goes on to elaborate on this, and it says the term Sunnah emerged later in Islamic history to denote the highest branch of Islam. Okay, so just to be very clear, it is very much stating that the word Sunnah emerged later in Islamic history to go ahead and categorize the largest branch of Islam. Not the truthful branch of Islam, not the preserved branch of Islam, right? The largest branch of Islam, okay? And the largest does not always mean the correct, okay? So just because you decided to create a term called Sunnah and apply it to the largest following of Muslims does not mean they are upon the truth. This is a argument that the Sunni Muslims like to use quite often. We're the biggest, we're the largest, And this is exactly how their religion started. Them believing because we're the largest, we're right. Representing the majority of Muslims who follow the Sunnah teachings of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Okay? So this is very, very, very important to understand. The word Sunni is not in the Holy Quran. Even though the word Sunnah is in the Holy Quran, the word Sunni is not in the Holy Quran. Okay? Now, to elaborate a little bit more on this word Sunnah, right? The word Sunnah appears several times in the Quran, but there is no specific mention to the term Sunnah in the context of the practice of Prophet Muhammad, Sunnat al-Rasul. The term Sunnah refers to the action and sayings of the Prophet Muhammad, which are important in Islamic teachings. The Quran and the Sunnah are both considered sacred texts in Islam, with the Quran being the revealed word of God and the Sunnah representing the practical lifestyle model of the Prophet. Okay? So this is very important because what does it tell us, right? It tells us that there is no specific mention of the word Sunnah in the context of following the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, in the Holy Quran. Okay? So, from what we have just gone ahead and read, I understand that the word Shia is in the Holy Quran, and it is a word that determines the word called to follow, right? It means to follow. And this was a word that God uses as a title to describe our prophets and the followers of our prophets in the Holy Book, the Quran. Though the word Sunnah, right, which means to follow as well, to follow the teachings of, this word is also found in the Quran, but not in the context of the Prophet Muhammad's Sunnah. Okay? Now, the word Sunni, which is the direct word for the organized sect that we have today, came later in Islamic history. It was used as a word to identify the biggest following of Muslims in that region. And it is a term to identify the following of the Sunnah of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. But this word is not found in the Quran, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not use it to describe the followers of any of his prophets or himself. This is a man-made word. So, based off of just the basics here, I do not understand how, very simply, the Sunnah audience can sit and say, right, that the Shia came after, when there's proofs that the Shia is in the Quran, that certain prophets are called the Shia, that certain followers of the prophets are called the Shia. And we'll go ahead and see the examples now, right? But I'm not quite understanding if Sunni Islam had derived after the Prophet's death and after the first couple caliphs and has been placed together after to identify the largest accumulation of Muslims that believe a specific narration or way, how is that right? Or how does that make you upon the truth? How does your claim that Shia Islam came after defend your own sect that came after? It doesn't really make much sense. So I do see a lot of Sunni and Shia arguing online, but they don't talk about things like this. They don't talk about definitions and facts. They just argue their ego all day. Now, I want to go ahead and jump into the Holy Quran, and I want to see where was the word Shia used, right? In the Holy Quran, Al-Safat, Surah Al-Safat 37:83. And indeed, one of those who followed his way was Abraham, okay? So if we go ahead and play this in the Arabic, it says,
وَإِنَّ مِن شِيعَتِهِ لَإِبْرَاهِيمَ.
So what does this say? It says that Abraham, Prophet Abraham, peace and blessings be upon him, this is God speaking, was the Shia, right, of Allah, okay? So, and indeed, among his
شِيعَتِهِ لَإِبْرَاهِيمَ.
So Abraham and our Holy Quran is given the title of Shi'atihi, or Shia, the follower, okay? And this is very important because the context is right here in our Quran. Prophet Abraham, peace and blessings be upon him, came much before our Quran. This is also where I don't see the double standard, because In the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that Abraham, peace and blessings be upon him, was not a Christian nor a Jew, but he was a Muslimin, right? And Muslims, Sunni and Shia, use this as justification to tell Christians and Jews all over the world that Abraham was a Muslim. He didn't follow your constructed Judaism or constructed Christianity because it came after, right? It came after Abraham, right? So we say Abraham is a Muslim. Now, in the Holy Quran, it says Abraham is Shi'atihi,
شيعته
which means way before the Prophet Muhammad, right? He was Shia, which means there was Shia all the way back to Adam, alayhi salam, right? And this is a term that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us. This is a term that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses to describe his prophets and his followers, right? But the word Sunnah is not used anywhere in the Holy Quran to describe anything. This is a man-made term to describe the people who follow the Sunnah of the biggest population of people in the land of the Middle East at that time, right? Now, the second reference where it goes ahead and says this is here. And I'm going to read it in English, and then I'm going to go ahead and show you where it says Shi'atihi in Arabic. One day he entered the city unnoticed by his people. And this is talking about Moses, okay? And this is Surah Al-Qasas 28:15. He entered the city unnoticed by its people. Then he found two men fighting, one of his own men and the other of his enemies. The man from his people called to him for help against his foe. So Moses punched him, causing death. Moses cried, "This is from Satan's handiwork. He is certainly a sworn misleading enemy." So this is the story of Moses, peace and blessings be upon him, and is explaining that he ran into two men fighting. One of them is from his followers, and one of them is his enemy. He ends up freeing the man that was of his followers, punching the man that is his enemy, and he ends up dead. Okay? Moses ends up killing this individual. All right? This is the story of Moses, and this is explaining. Now, where does it say Shia exactly? Right? If we go ahead and go through the Arabic linguistic in text, it says, and he entered the city at a time of its people,
أهلها
and found therein two fighting each other of
شيعته
his party.
شيعته من شيعته
Min shi'atihi, meaning the follower of Moses. He found one of his Shia, right? He found one of his Shia and one of his enemies,
عدوه
and called for help the one who was
Min
from
شيعته
his Shia, right? So he says twice the word Shia is used in this verse, and it is used to describe the follower of Moses. Where in the previous verse that we went ahead and looked at, the follower of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Abraham, peace and blessings be upon him, is called the Shia, right? So this is very important. We need to understand where these terms come from and the linguistics of these terms and why the Shia Muslims call themselves Shia to begin with. Shia Muslims did not seek to create a sect. Shia Muslims were the minority in the land at that time. Yes, indeed. That does not mean that corruption did not fill the Islamic empire after our Prophet's death. That does not mean that a sect was created and one of the sects was made to look impure or wrong. Okay? That also does not mean that that original sect called Shia Islam, that may have been very, very clear and preserved at the time of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, is preserved today. Definitely not after 1500 years. I can see the innovations, the bid'ah, the way that the Shia take hadith over the Quran if the Quran directly contradicts it. This is a problem within all the communities. The Sunnah especially. When I look at the Sunnah, there is so much innovation in bid'ah that completely contradicts the Quran. Things that go ahead with the Quran as well, but are bid'ah. They've come from companions, they've come from other people, never came from our Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. And this is important for people to understand. I am not here to have emotionally charged arguments. I am here to have logically question things and unravel the truths that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in front of me. I have no time for ignorance, I have no time for ego, I have no time for these things, right? Now, to go ahead and continue here, this goes ahead and talks about imams, right? The Holy Quran. And I want to go ahead and and talk about the word Imam, because Sunni Muslims have this issue with the Shia Muslims following the 12 Imams, right? Now, the belief of following an Imam after the Prophet, right, is very important. We have Imams. Like Bukhari is called Imam Bukhari. Muslim is called Imam Muslim, right? But as Shia Muslims, we do not take Bukhari or Muslim, right, as credible Imams of the time, right? But we do take Imam Ali alayhi salam and his descendants after him, Imam Hussein, Imam Hassan, and so forth. Imam Jafar al-Sadiq, who created the sixth Imam, who created the whole entire Islamic curriculum for Sunni and Shia Islam. We believe that we are to follow them, not above prophets, not above God. Why do we believe this? Because the Holy Quran states this throughout it. Okay? Beware of the day we summon every people with their leader. This does not say prophet. No, it does not.
بإمامهم.
It says imami, which means on the day of resurrection, you will be risen with your leader, not your prophet, your leader. Meaning, if I was someone who went ahead and followed Drake, right, the artist, the rapper, and all I did my whole life was follow Drake and follow Drake and follow Drake, God will raise me with Drake, and he will question me upon Drake, right? If I was to follow Imam Ali alayhi salam as my Imam or as my source of information, as my Imam, not my prophet, as my Imam, I will be risen with him. Okay? The Christians who follow Jesus Christ, right? Peace and blessings be upon him. They will be raised with Jesus Christ, with their Imam. You understand? This is very important. This is very important because we are raised with the person that we seek knowledge and guidance from. So we are questioned to see if this person, right, actually made these claims. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings those because if I say, for instance, right, I did this and I was upon this innovation because Imam Ali, because I follow Imam Ali. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to bring the Shia man that maybe goes ahead and does some things within his religion, like for instance, taps his chest, right? Tapping your chest is not necessarily haram because you're not inflicting self-harm. But the people who chain themselves and smack themselves and cut themselves open, correct? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to bring Imam Ali alayhi salam and say, hey, you said you were smacking yourself and banging yourself because the Imams taught you this. And he's going to ask Imam Ali, or he's going to ask Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He's going to ask them, right, in front of your face. He's going to bring your Imam and say, did you teach this or did you go ahead and relay this to the world? And they're going to say, no, I go ahead and separate myself from this. The same way he will bring Shaitan and say, Shaitan, did you make this person do this? And Shaitan will separate himself from it. You say, no, I never told this person to do that. They did this on their own will. The people who blame their Imam or the Shaitan will be raised with these people and be questioned upon it. Okay? Imams can be prophets. Imams can be all types of things around us. In Sunni and Shia Islam, we are very aware of the term Imam and we are very aware of how the term Imam is used. The word Imam is used all throughout the Quran. So there is nothing wrong with the Shia Muslim people, right? Yes, I understand today's day and age, Sunni Islam and Shia Islam are constructed sects. I understand this. I'm not talking about this. I am talking about the people of the time of my Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, the companions, the family members. What were they called? Were they called Shia of Prophet Muhammad, the Shia of the Quran, the Shia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Or were they called the Sunni? What term best describes and fits them according to the Holy Quran and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Which one is the authentic term that is come with the Quran and with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If I was to call a follower of the time of Prophet Muhammad anything, it would be Shia before Sunnah according to the Holy Quran. Sunni is a man-made term that came after the Quran, and Shia is a term in the Quran to describe the prophets of God and the followers of the prophets of God. So this is my question here. Now, I understand. Yes, I understand. Shia and Sunni Islam of 2025 are man-made, constructed, organized religions. But which one of these two, going back to their roots, is closer and more aligned with the Holy Quran and more aligned with the term that we would go ahead and call the people around the Prophet and the Prophet himself of that time? Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments down below. This is not a video to cause a fitna. This is not a video to cause an argumentation. This is a video to go ahead and key on specific points and facts, go ahead and key on specific definitions, and open the Holy Quran, the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and read what Allah has ordained upon us. Not what our sheikhs, not what 1500 years of egotistical politics and history is going to go ahead and place upon us, but what our Creator wants for us. Thank you guys so much for coming in today. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.